Hello and welcome to Sharon Local History. Welcome to Sharon, Massachusetts. In this video, I will include about 10 images which are old postcards of Sharon from about 1900s to 1950s. There is no order. These were published in the Sharon Advocate. So this is part 8 and I did concentrate on pulling photographs of people. So in this first picture, that's Post Office Square in about 1928, you can see the constable in the middle regulating the traffic. The angle parking at the Post Office Square continued until early 1970s when everything changed around. However, in this picture on the left side, you can see Bendinelli Block. The building in the middle of it, the awning, that was a Mackay paper store. Next to it, that's Dennett store, the famous dentist who owned the building and had a practice on the second level. And in the middle, more to the right, you can see the S.F. Bryan store, which also served as apartment and post office. And on the right side, we have Petty's and Colburn store before it burned down, obviously, 1928. So this really cool photograph of the fire bumper is actually the old Chevrolet bumper that was 1930s. That was owned by the Sharon Fire Department. The gentleman on the left side is Chief William G. Darrow, a member of the department for many years. It is believed that this truck was used to extinguish many devastating forest fires in Sharon during 1930s and 1940s. So the gentleman in this picture is William C. Moulton. He used to own a drugstore, Moulton's Drugstore, that was originally in the Dennett's block, which I believe this picture is from. Around 1920s, and then when they built the triangular building across the street, which is like 1 and 5 Pond Street, that was built in 1939, and Mr. Moulton moved there to open his store. It also housed Boston Edison's retail store and Jackson the jeweler. Mr. Moulton was also an avid sportsman and he enjoyed hunting, fishing, and ski shooting. So this picture is interior of a property that was on 100, still is, on 167 Pond Street, which is between the four-way stop sign and or current high school. It was called Macmillan Variety Store. It sold groceries, penny candies, hot dogs, and for 1 year had a license to also sell hard liquor. In the picture, that's George R. Macmillan, the proprietor, who lived with his family on 165 Bond Street, which is the grayish house with the funky roof right next to the four-way stop intersection. So this is a picture of Sharon High School class of 1928. Unfortunately, we don't know all the names of the students in the picture. So this is a group of younger students, of grammar school age students, standing on the front steps of the old center school, which was located until recently on the school street. Now it's being replaced by a brand new, shining, massive library. Unfortunately, we don't know names of the students, and we are only assuming that the young teacher in the back row is young Miss Alice Packard, who taught in schools in Sharon for many years, and apparently she was an incredible teacher. So, and these cute young students are first graders at the High Street School. So at the place where we have right now the municipal parking lot at High Street, that used to be elementary school. Not all grades, at one point first grades and then third and fourth. So in this picture, that is class of 1915 to 1916, and that the teacher on the back row is Myth Ruth Hutchinson. She lived in Foxborough and eventually she got married and she became Mrs. Brown and continued teaching at the High Street School. And I'm thrilled to share this photograph. This is actually Sharon's YMCA, or was. It was located on the corner of Stone and Tolman Street, kind of towards Cottage. It was standing up to 1930s. Eventually, it was demolished and two homes were constructed on that site. The large wooden building was a very popular place for local men and boys. It also housed a gymnasium and an indoor track. Also, Boy Scouts used to meet there. So this photograph is actually from 1905 and it is a football team. So that was the Sharon YMCA 1905 football team. So this postcard is dated 1907 and it's a group of loggers that work on sawmill located at E. Morse's south of Sharon property. We are not 100% sure of the exact location, but when we combined map and a little bit of research, we found that it was most likely at the intersection of Lakeview and Morse, possibly in that area where Camp Gannett was or Camp Everwood is now. So this photograph is the very crooked town hall bandstand that was in front of the old Victorian town hall, and the location is about the lawn of the current town hall. You can see the young boys listening to the band, and they are wearing knickers, knee stockings, and high boots. That was very popular style for boys in the early part of the 20th century. So the building on the right side is long gone, and that's basically the CVS parking lot. Sharon at one time celebrated Old Home Week during the week of Independence Day. This photograph is from 1902, and in the picture you can see Mrs. Fowler, probably the lady with the blouse, inside, and her husband, George B. Fowler, who lived on North Main Street between Glendale and Brook, a beautiful Victorian house, which is long gone. And so they entered their beautifully decorated carriage pulled by the family's two horses in the parade of the Old Home Week. The decorations were poppies made from brightly colored crepe paper with green wire stems for fastening. Needless to say, the Fowlers were awarded ribbons for their entry. And you may recognize this location if you look on the right side. That is actually Town Hall in about very early 1900s. And the gentleman on the horse is George B. Fowler, who I just mentioned. He is sitting on this beautiful white horse in front of the town hall, most likely on July 4th. Once again, the building behind it is long gone. That's the CVS parking lot, and to the left side will be South Main Street. And last but not least, this is barn moving in action. So moving houses about 100 years ago was quite popular because it saved lots of resources. The houses were somewhat easy to lift from its foundation. So this was a super exciting day in Sharon. This old barn used to be at 7 South Main Street, which was the Quaker Inn. The private home eventually became a bank. However, the barn was purchased by William Godrich Darrow, who was a former police chief, the fire chief, as well as contractor. If you feel like you heard the name before, he is the gentleman in the second picture. He was the fire chief. And he had arrangements made to move the barn to 7 Godrich Place. That eventually became a private home. So apparently Godrich Place is famous for the houses rather, that are there, that they were moved from different places. In this picture, by the way, the building is the old Betty's store. So the building to the left. I hope you enjoyed this and thank you for watching Sharon Local History.